We all go a little mad sometimes.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
They're here.
Hi, this is Mrs. Blaylock.
Oh my god,
Wow.
could you not, please?
Wow, only one
You know
of us
what?
has our fucking sound turned off.
I'm fucking silencing you, you son of a bitch.
Wow, Nene. Wow, Bethany, wow.
Wow, you're in for it.
So I hate their name in this movie.
Their
It
name?
makes me laugh so much.
There.
David Bowie and Catherine Deneuve. Mr. and Mrs. Blaylock. Watch out, Charlie, it's the blah blah blah. You know? It's so stupid sounding.
Wow.
Madame Play-Doh, you know? It sounds so stupid.
Pompidou.
That's a great drag name.
Madame Play-Doh?
Yeah.
How's she Play-Doh?
Oh, her name on fucking Reddit is Katie Homophobia. You know?
Oh my
Or
god.
Cassia had one as a Melanie Microwave. You know, just, I love that.
Okay, you better back the fuck
Or
up.
who's that chick in fucking, what was, not Hey Arnold, what was the other one? Doug?
Doug?
Her name was Patty Mayonnaise.
Patty
I
Mayonnaise.
love that so much.
You're kidding.
Ms. Mayonnaise. 'Cause Mr. Mayonnaise died.
Well, I'm Nathan, and you're listening to
They're
They're Here,
podcast.
a discussion
And dissection.
of all things horror
Fear.
and the macabre.
Well, enough kidding by y'all. Let's talk some trash.
Happy Pride, man.
Happy Pride, man.
Hey, gay.
Oh, that was a good one. Oh, I know it's done.
So we're releasing this the day after Pride.
The day before actual Pride, though.
The day before actual Pride, yeah.
The day,
Yeah, yeah,
the day after Dublin Pride. We always
Dublin,
have it on
yeah.
the Saturday closest to the 26th.
Yeah.
Except for that one year when it was the 50th anniversary where the 26th did fall on the Saturday, which was kind of cool.
Which is great, you know. Weren't you just saying, like, God loves the gays? If he didn't love the gays and the trans, he wouldn't have given us a good day.
Exactly.
Every single
Pride
time.
in fucking December or something.
It was
For
true.
real, though.
It's true. It's true. It's true. It's very true. I like it.
So today, we are doing queer vampire movie, The Hunger.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this movie so much.
Yeah.
What the fuck was that? What the
That's stupid. What the fuck is that? That's never mind. That was gonna be. Yeah, never mind. So queer vampires.
Yeah, so I feel like we get a lot of like queer vampire media and literature. I don't know, I feel like vampires have always kind of been synonymous kind of with like sexual fluidity.
Oh, of course.
Or just yeah, vampires are like monsters of like seduction and kind of romance and stuff. They're not like, I feel like that's why they're nearly always diametrically opposed with like werewolves who are like brutish and like feral.
Monstrous.
They're not like elegant or anything. Like
Yeah.
vampires are kind of elegant. They're nearly always seen as like chic. Like we very rarely get like a feral, like monstrous vampire.
This is the skin of a killer, Bella.
Hell yeah, lady.
No, I
say that
agree.
every time I put on my fucking Diamond Bomb Fenty highlighter.
Hey, Fenty, give us a shout.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah, I always tend to think first of all, they're morally ambiguous because they're sort of straddling the line between trying to be good and romantic and
Yeah.
caring and things like that, while simultaneously, like, draining the fuck out of your blood and killing people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you obviously get that sort of dichotomy where...
What'd you call me?
But yeah, there's the dichotomy between the sort of like sexualized part of vampires
Yeah.
and the pure, more animalistic, murderous intent vampire.
The actual instinct part.
Exactly,
Where it's kind of
exactly.
like, on one hand, you almost do feel bad, because it's like, well, they need blood to live.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's rare that you see vampires out just killing people and not, like, using it for anything.
I would agree. I think there's also...
Blood is the life.
The blood is the life. I also think, like, especially with this film, blood is seen as a sort of almost in a sexualized way.
Yeah.
Where it, first of all, it keeps them alive, but it also turns them on, gets them going, and it's almost sort of treated almost almost like an STD in a very strange way.
This
if you
has
notice
some
that.
AIDS undertones.
It
to
definitely
for
does.
Sure.
For sure.
Oh wait, so it's not an aphrodisiac; it would be a hemophiliac. Or a homophiliac, because it is the month for it.
Sick bitch.
But yeah, no, I actually love this. It's kind of surprising that we don't get more vampire movies, especially like considering how big of a resurgence the 80s had for vampire movies.
Oh, yeah.
Where we don't get kind of AIDS being a kind of weird undertone for it, you know.
What did we have?
Like it's
we
treated
had...
like a disease. We had this, The Lost Boys, fucking Near Dark.
Fright Night.
God, I don't know how we haven't talked about Fright Night yet.
We will. We'll get to it. We get to it, fans. We promise.
I fucking love that movie so much.
Yeah.
That to me is like one of the most iconic posters for me as a kid ever.
Yeah.
Like
the big cloud and like the
big
strangest teeth I've
because
ever seen in a vampire.
I didn't see that movie until I was about 12.
Yeah.
But like I remember like having that and the second on Fright Night 2 on video.
Never watched it. I hated Fright Night 2.
The second one is actually pretty cool. We got like a Grace Jones, like androgynous vampire that's like on roller skates.
Yeah,
with, like,
yeah.
big long nails and stuff. But yeah, the 80s kind of brought vampires back from being like hokey and like we kind of come out of the Hammer horror Dracula era, having them be like just European and then we got kind of the American like kind of
what happens
sexy,
when they got
cool,
over the plague
suave.
ship
Exactly,
kind of idea.
You know.
Yeah. It was also played up as this sort of like one note. Like, because right up until that point, you had Bela Lugosi, you had Christopher Lee, all of those like from the 60s and 70s, where it was straight up just like this one note person where they were just like, I come and I suck your blood and then I disappear again, and that was kind of one note.
Out of the Universal Monster movie area,
exactly.
And the same, also werewolves kind of came back into play again in the 80s. We got like The Howling and stuff like that.
Love that movie.
Like Silver Bullet and everything.
Yeah.
Silver Bullet is actually a great little like comfort movie for me. I watch the movie every once in a while. But yeah, no, the 80s really made like vampires like sexy and like cool. You know, to me the like penultimate version of that is The Lost Boys, where it's like that movie fucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like The Lost Boys, I feel like, because that was originally supposed to be like The Goonies with vampires, and it's like, no. I also do kind of like the idea of seeing that, maybe, and like in some other time period or something like that, having like it actually be a bunch of lost boys, like a bunch of like little kid vampires and stuff.
But it also speaks to like the fashions of the time as well, because in the 70s and very early 80s, you had this sort of Sid Vicious punk era, and then you just kind of missed that. So like you kind of get into the neo-romanticism era, which is basically just revitalizing like Victorian era fashion and like
kind of all
like
up.
Gender blurring and all of that type of thing, and like thinking of people like they look like they arrived from another planet. You know what I mean? Like it's just so goth and you know, high collar.
Because it's like we don't really get
what's
goth
that
until like
thing?
the 80s. A rough,
yeah.
We don't really
all
get
that kind of stuff. Cravats
like
and shit,
goth
you know?
until the 80s, because it's like goth comes out of like you were saying, like the New Romantics and like and punk, post punk, all that kind of stuff.
Well, speaking of punk,
this opening is one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my whole life.
Sick.
And I'm not even joking. Like Bela Lugosi's Dead is one of my favorite songs of all time.
Bauhaus, shout out.
Fucking Peter Murphy sitting there with the jacket flipped up like this, and looks like a bat hanging upside down.
Yeah.
You know, I straight up stole his hairstyle for a little while. The like two little peaks out on the side and everything. Just up against the cage and everything. Yeah.
Straight up just staring down our shall we say first victims.
We're getting like a solo, like a one-on-one performance just for us.
Exactly.
It's so fucking cool.
I was straight up just like looking at it, just like Bowie and Catherine Deneuve just like standing there staring the shit, like
smoking
massive
indoors,
black sunglasses on,
and the aviator pillbox hat and stuff. Maison Margiela actually did a campaign where they straight up stole that look from Catherine Deneuve, but I used to have that up on my wall, where it's just like Bowie in a little black wig, just posing in a club. Yeah. You know, just we saw you from across the bar and we liked your vibe kind of thing. Yeah. I even showed you the opening to this movie a couple of months ago, where I was like, when we go to Berlin, this is my vibe. Yeah. You know, dark patent leather vampire, dark lip, everything. And like the little freeze frames we get on people in the club. Yeah. There's one that I don't know why certain little shots in this movie always stand out to me, where there's just like a chick who like turns to the side and they kind of capture her in motion, and she's just got this like stripe of blush up her cheek. God, I love goth.
So striking.
Like
stuff.
trad
It's
80s
good.
goth just makes me dick hard, bro. I love it so much.
Well, I mean, this is to be fair, like straight up. This was actually my first time seeing this film,
Which really surprised me, considering how much of a Bowie stan you are.
I'd seen. I fucking love David Bowie, but I'd seen scenes from this film, so I had a rough idea of what it was about, but I'd never actually seen it from beginning to end. And I swear to, I fell in love with this movie. The shots, the lineups, the acting, even the makeup skills are just fucking on point.
The hair, the costume.
So good.
Yeah.
Oh, it's brilliant.
This is like if Lost Boys is like for California, this is like the New York like version of that, you know, where everybody's like a little bit more chic and kind of grown up, you know.
Grunge.
And like,
you know.
Catherine Deneuve in this is like ancient.
Yes.
Like ancient Egypt ancient. I fucking love that. Like the older you make a vampire for me is like I want it. I want all of it.
I always remember, now I've never actually watched it, but there's a scene in True Blood that I watched on YouTube, and it's some vampire who's like straight up, I've lived long enough, I'd rather just die. And he like burns himself in the sunshine, but he's like from Roman times or
Eric
something.
Northman. It's
that
it's
guy.
Alexander Skarsgård. He's a Viking.
A Viking, yeah. And he was just like straight up, you know what, I'm done with this.
Well,
he pieces the fuck out by like burning himself up in the sun.
He plays the titular Northman in The Northman, and his name is Eric Northman in that show. He was a Viking. It's so fucking cool. I think the first scene we're introduced to him in True Blood is they like come up to the club.
Come up to the club.
They come up to the club that he owns or whatever, and he's got like all the foils in his hair because he's rebleaching his hair because he got blood in it. You know, it was like stained his hair.
Yeah.
It's so fucking cunty.
Well, I gotta shade something in particular right about now.
I don't know, fucking hair in my nose or something.
As much as I love American Horror Story and the directors, the writers, producers, and I understand what they were going for.
And it's referential. I don't think it's stealing.
Referential, but darling, this whole opening sequence from this film was stolen.
But I don't think it's stolen though. I think it's
It is absolutely stolen.
I don't. I think it's purely a reference.
It is, but like she wants the revenge. Like everything, just like was right down to the pilot hat that Gaga was wearing. It's just like,
now, look,
and she looked great. She did. But then I was looking at it going like,
fucking in bed with just a pair of black heels on,
you know, and some pasties, some star pasties.
Wig, bro. I don't care. I feel like that's one of the like.
I wanna
coolest.
fucking tear you apart.
Yeah, dude. They're sitting there watching Nosferatu in the Hollywood Cemetery, and they pick up that other couple from across the way. Ugh.
But it was just, I just ended up
All the
looking on like,
sheets and shit.
almost like shot for shot, most of this was stolen from The
Reference.
Hunger. No, to be fair.
They're not trying to make it their own though. It's fully a reference.
But it's like, it's the same thing down to the cutting. They don't even bite, they just cut. I'm just like, oh god.
But
You're gonna give me vampire, give me fucking vampire, you know what I'm
that
saying?
to me is why I feel like it's not stolen. Like it's fully referential.
Yeah.
I was even saying to you earlier, I think the opening of Blade is referencing this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know, just the idea of like vampires ingratiated in the idea of nightlife is pretty cool because it's like,
Of course they
why
would be
wouldn't
there.
they?
Yeah.
You know, actually, I was only watching
an
the
all-you-can-eat
opening of Blade
buffet.
the other day. But seriously though,
Yeah.
I was only thinking this watching Blade the other day where I was like, where do vampires go to shop? You know what I mean?
Their
Like,
supermarket is a nightclub.
seriously, it's like you can't even like where the fuck would you go shopping at night?
You know, their apples and milk are at the bar.
Or and then like because Tracy Lords, she's like the first vampire we meet in that movie.
Yeah.
It's so fucking cunt. But I don't know. I had this kind of headcanon of like her like attacking chicks who like whose like outfit she likes and like taking the outfit off them or something like that. Because like being a vampire would be like it seems glamorous on the face of it, but it's like fuck me, that would fucking suck.
It's lonely.
Realistically,
It's long.
Yeah.
You don't actually sleep, which would drive me fucking crazy.
Yeah, for real.
You live a long life. To be fair, you have immortal beauty, all that kind of bullshit.
Yeah, for some reason, being a vampire makes you hot, not just youthful, but it makes you gorgeous.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I always thought that was really interesting, and it's played with in this theme as well. Is the beauty aspect of it? Is I keep remembering back to what Edward says. Is like everything about me is there to draw you in.
Yeah,
and like I always thought about that. I was like, that's fucking genius.
Well, even with Bella, when she comes back to life and that, she gets highlights and makeup.
Yeah.
Like, literally, though, it's like her chest becomes, like, full again. And then, like, her hair gets thicker.
Lush.
And, like, she gets, like, highlights and lowlights. And her eyelids become gold and stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I fucking love Twilight. I don't give a shit.
Can we just talk about Bauhaus for a second?
One of my favourite bands, but, like, this song in particular, Bela Lugosi is Dead, is one of my favourite songs of all time.
I did not know this song beforehand. I did not know this song.
Before seeing this?
Yeah.
Nathan!
I know Bauhaus, but I was introduced to Bauhaus through Ryan, actually. Shout out to you, Ryan. Hey.
Gay.
Gay. But when I was listening to Bauhaus, I didn't realise that this was... And then I was like, oh, this is Bauhaus!
Like translucent black capes. Oh, it's just... this to me is like... when I wear my big, like, David Byrne Talking Heads coat, this to me is like... Both hands in the pocket, I'm walking down, I have this in my headphones, you know?
You have that 80s streak back.
It is, though.
Yeah.
It's
the moment.
It's one of my favourite fucking songs.
Absolutely.
Or it's like my I'm getting off the train at night walking home songs.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, like
absolutely. Yeah. And you're just strutting down the road from the train. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
I feel like this whole episode is just going to be an hour and a half of us just being like, oh, this movie.
Well, the one thing I love about this, you know the way we always talk about certain films where you can... You feel dirty and certain things.
Yeah.
This opening club scene to me was that quintessential. What did I write? I said it's so fucking 80s that I can smell the stained love seats,
The sweaty leather.
like the back alley that you can quote unquote network off of.
Yeah.
Shoulder pads, high waisted pants. The darkest eyeshadow you could possibly come across.
Black
just
leather
fucking
skirts.
what's it called? Shutter doors.
Garage doors.
Garage doors, like
It's
just
from brown to
everywhere.
red.
Yeah.
I love it so
It's
much.
hair teased so much that you've pissed it off. You know
It
what
is.
I'm saying?
It's like this is a whole club full of like banshees. Like I fucking love it so much. It's actually really sad. Dublin has like no goth clubs anymore.
Yeah.
Like we have
The only thing remotely close to a goth club that I think I've ever gotten to was the sub level of in Fibbers. Yeah. That was like literally that was the closest that I've gotten to.
they have goth nights and stuff, but it's like I want to go somewhere and get all dressed up.
Yeah, exactly.
Like for Halloween, like a couple of years ago, me and Lena did Riff Raff we did Frankenfurter and Magenta.
Yeah.
And nobody else dressed up. Everybody just thought we were goth.
I
We're
love
just like,
it.
I love your look or whatever, and it's like it's October 30th.
It's a costume.
Like, what the fuck? You think I walk around with this fucking curly-headed wig on all the fucking time, bro? Like, I'm wearing a thong and a corset and a leather jacket. You think I just walk around like this? Although, to be honest,
Yeah.
I did. But, like, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I also gotta say, like, this club, it feels like the club at CBGB's, you know? Like, it feels like the Ramones, like, Debbie Juvenile and things will be doing, like, coke in the bathroom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it just feels like one of those places where you could pick someone up, fuck in the corner, and everyone would be like, work, bitch, and then move on. You know
Or
what I'm
get
saying?
attacked in the
Like,
corner and nobody would notice.
oh, straight up, just like drink a bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like that, it just feels like it's that type of seedy club, but everyone is just like, let's get fucked up.
Now,
you know?
talking about vampires and nightlife, these vampires aren't affected by the sun.
That was also something that was kind of irksome to me. I also looked at it and was like, maybe they are, but they just don't like being in the sun too much.
I think it's as far as I know. I'm probably just gonna like butcher vampire lore right now. That was introduced only with the movie Dracula.
Yeah.
That's not like in the original Dracula. Oh yeah, no, it totally is. Bela Lugosi's Dracula is the first one. Like that's where that introduces the idea that sunlight kills vampires.
But it was Nosferatu, no?
Well, yeah. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
And then just kind of
that introduces
disappears?
Oh, I just forgot what time it was because I was looking at what a beautiful neck. You know, I love that line. But yeah, no, it was Nosferatu that introduces the idea that sunlight kills vampires because even for Dracula, that doesn't fuck him up, like in the novel or in Bram Stoker's Dracula, the movie. He's walking around London during the day.
Yes, he is.
You know, I think it's just there's just a thing that it's like it weakens them, or like they can't like do as much or whatever. But yeah, they're like fully walking around like running errands and stuff. And David Bowie, I watched this movie being like, for the first time when I did, thinking like, oh fuck yeah, this is a Bowie vampire movie. Yeah. And he's really not in it for that long.
No, he's not.
He's already dying when we meet him.
Yeah.
You know, and then we find out this is like the kind of vampire story that I like to kind of lean to, where it's like looking at vampires as kind of like tragic figures who are just like, yes, I'm still alive, dude.
Yeah, you know? I think actually like we should like definitely talk about that, because obviously I mean like the sort of AIDS undertones to it is fairly prevalent with Bowie's character in this. And I think obviously like I would consider this the same as their inspired American Horror Story counterparts, that like it's sort of an autoimmune disease that they have, that they need to because in vampire lore it's basically they need fresh blood to survive, but in this one it's exactly it's sort of it's the same as in Interview with the Vampire, like if they're drinking dead blood,
she feeds them
straight up die. And it's sort of a very interesting, because I mean like it's fairly prevalent like what they're trying to sort of convey in this film as to what this sort of blood disorder is, shall we say, you know. And I think these pair are incredibly good with the way one person deals with it versus how the other person deals with it, you know what I'm saying?
But for some reason she's like a weird, unique thing, Miriam, because she's had like David Bowie is just the current
iteration of her boyfriend,
or so all the ones that she's had before have like failed, or like vampirism in this isn't how we're used to it, because some people's body can't handle it. Yeah. Like some people can't, their body breaks down and they go through it. And just the scenes of David Bowie in this movie always make me really sad. It's so depressing.
It is,
It's the moment where he like runs his hands through his fingers and then he just has like a lump of hair in his hands.
Runs his hands through his fingers.
And he's just, he runs his hands through his hair and then he just has like a bunch of hair in his hand. Yeah. And that keeps happening, and he keeps like just pulling at it and it's all coming out, and he's just
I would identify with that, obviously.
But that's also kind of a thing for real though. That's like a thing of just like, oh my god, what the fuck is happening to me? You know, because he's like, as far as we know, they've been together since like
forever
ish, kind of like borderline Renaissance.
Yeah, I was going to say the last 300-400 years.
Like they were in New York when New York was all farms.
Yeah, exactly.
And stuff, you know? Yeah. I actually fucking love that idea though. The idea that they've been in that same spot and New York has just been built around them. Yeah. You know, because when she shows up, she's got this like huge, like, I don't want to say Marie Antoinette, but it's like in that same vein of like just big, like pompous hair, and then she just pulls the veil back, and he's like a farmhand, he's like a stable boy or something, and I feel like that's when she first meets him and turns him or whatever. But then as we go on, we get these flashes of her like in ancient Egypt, you know, turning a queen.
She's an Egyptian nobility or something.
Because she wears the ankh around her neck. That's their symbol. With that tiny little blade on top. I'm like, you got that from Para or something.
Bitch. Yeah. But you know what?
It was George W. Bush.
It is. I'm like, does she do her own hair? Because look at the back of her head. Jesus Christ, Catherine. I know you got David trained well, bro.
Well, there also seems to be an increasing sense of isolation between the two of them as well. As he is getting more and more sick, shall we say. Yeah. She becomes more and more distant and tries to push him away in a sense. Even though she's like, oh, I'll take care of you, I'm going to shove you in a box.
Still alive, by the way. They all still are.
And like they also like it's very easily explained, like they're living as ghosts in this world together. Yeah. Like they're not active in it, they're just present. You know?
It's just kind of passing them by.
Exactly. Like I think there's an increasing sense of like it's also like an age reference. Like there's an increasing sense that the world is passing them by and they're being left behind. Yeah. And David Bowie's character is definitely like the one that feels that most prevalently, because
she's ancient. Like she's been around for much longer than anybody else.
And I think that's another reason as to why he starts to become more decrepit and more thing, because he feels that like I'm no longer part of this world. I'm just existing, you know? Yeah. And I think his body reacts to that temperament, and then he just begins
he starts to look like Adam from Beetlejuice.
My God.
He starts to look like he's made out of clay. So this is directly opposed with Susan Sarandon's study on progeria.
Yes.
But she like pronounces it like a progeria or something. Like she pronounces it really weird in the movie. It always catches me off guard. But Susan Sarandon in this movie, fuck me up.
That hair!
She keeps doing this throughout the whole movie. You know, and she's always got a cigarette, and they're in a hospital smoking. You know, I love it so
Back
much.
in the good old days.
For real. And I'm like, she is beat for the back row. She's got so much eyeshadow on and work, you know.
Yeah.
So she's studying progeria with her team, and they like found vampirism like in monkeys.
They're looking for a way to not prolong life, but reverse it. Yeah, it's sort of how do I describe it? Like they're trying to reverse the breakdown of cells.
They're basically trying to like reverse engineer the phenomenon of progeria.
Yeah.
You know, so they're like, okay, if we can figure out what speeds it up, we can figure out what slows it down. You know, and they show this really weird shot of the three kids that look like the kid from Akira. Mm-hmm. You know, just this like little, like super gaunt little kids or whatever like that. You know, and she's on the talk show explaining it.
The one that got me really fucked up was the monkey. The
evil
literal
dad.
like fucking claymation of a monkey, like just decrepit. Oh my God!
It was actually really sad. I'm like, how did they get the monkey to act like that? Because there's a shot where the monkey is just like constantly falling over and like not being able to get up, and they cut away from it, and then they go back, and the monkey's like slightly more grey and slightly more like spindly or whatever. But even the shots of the monkey where we get
I was like, did they just disintegrate a monkey?
For real, like, they gave that monkey something. They put something in that monkey's food. But because we're getting the shots of the monkey like slamming up against the cage, where we're getting the like where they're driving back to the house, you know, and then like looking at monkey skulls, I'm like, that's vampiric as fuck, because they've got the two big fangs, you know, kind of just like, I don't know, I like that opposition, or like that like just having those two like opposed against each other. I think it looks pretty cool. Now this scene where Bowie and Catherine Deneuve bring the couple back, it's so hot, because they're sitting there, they turn the projector on but with nothing on it, and she's just like smoking a cigarette, like doing her little like dance for Bowie and stuff, and then they take them off into separate rooms, and he just like attacks her in the kitchen, you know, and she's like on top of him just covered in blood, you know. I don't know, I think I've said this on the podcast before. I think like the imagery of like blood splatter on something
across the naked body
is really gorgeous.
Yeah, it is.
Like, even in
the contrast between either
like
pale or dark skin with like just ruby red blood. Artistically splattered, shall we say? Because it is artistically splattered. I did think that was like a little interesting. It's like, that looks like someone intentionally like
she added that on.
Yeah. She got a fucking beauty blender. Was like, oh, let me just get it on my tits, bro.
But then even like in Hotel, I think like that's like one of the most gorgeous things I've ever seen. It's like Gaga and Matt Bomer over a couple in white sheets, and she's got this like white hair, just covered in blood. I'm like, oh my God, it's so stunning.
What did she say afterwards? Go get the maid or something.
For real. But Bobby,
you don't want to do the cleaning? Go get the maid.
Bobby just does a reveal and freaks this girl out, because he just pulls off this little boy wig. It's a black wig. I'm like, what the? Why was it necessary for you to have the same hairstyle but in black?
Yeah.
You know. Also, you're David Bowie. You look like the most goth person of all time. You already look like a ghost.
Dude, you have two different eye colours. You're gonna be memorable.
And fangs. David Bowie looks like a vampire.
Yeah, it's great. You know? It really is. It's beautiful. It really is beautiful. And the fact that they just go out afterwards to the kind of like the music room, shall we say, and he gets the violin out and she just starts playing the piano. Also, can we talk about the fact that Alex has got quaaludes?
I know. Yeah, my
I was
mother
gonna
collects
go,
them.
what?
My mother collects them. You know, but it's the 80s. You know, they hadn't stopped making them by then.
Get the fucking Quaaludes!
I actually really like this little character as well.
Yeah.
Just her whole kind of like rapport with them, like her like demeanor or whatever.
Yeah, the
And
fact
then-
that she just likes coming over to play music with them.
Yeah, she
you
likes
know?
to hang out and stuff. You
Yeah.
know?
She's cool.
Now this fucking house.
Gorgeous.
Oh my god, it makes me want to get sick. Like just to think.
Could you not?
Pause that. I'm gonna lock them in. You did the Wayne's World countdown. But yeah, this house just looks like a fucking museum. You know, and it's all. I was gonna say first editions, but I mean like it's all from
The
when it looks
originals.
like, yeah. Now she mentions that a lot of it comes from her family, so I'm like, who's her family? Like, what's her backstory? Like, I really want to know.
Well, I mean, like, if she's an ancient creature that's come from, like, at least the oldest that we can see is obviously. I did. Yeah. I felt well represented, actually.
You know what matters?
But like at least from the furthest that we know, she at least comes from the times of ancient Egypt. You know, whatever dynasty it is, it's still Egypt at the time. So we can digress that she has passed from one place to another. So if she's gone from the decline of Egypt, she would have passed through up into. It would have been Morocco, would have been through Spain into France, because we know she was in the French aristocracy at the time.
Yeah.
So she would have gone that route. Now, depending on whatever way she did do it, she could have crossed to the Americas during that time, or back and forth, depending, because we do know she was in France at the time. And, like, I mean, let's say, what was the last Egyptian dynasty and how long ago was it? What was the last continue talking.
Ptolemaic, I think.
The Ptolemaic, I think it was. Yeah, I'd actually think an Egyptian dynasty.
Well, I want to see if I'm right.
The 26th dynasty, installed by the Assyrians, the Achaemenid Empire.
Damn.
And that, when did the last Egyptian? Approximately 3100 BCE.
Fucking hell.
With the death of Cleopatra the 7th.
So, yeah.
So she's at least, what was the 80s, right?
We know the person she was turning was...
Oh, the Egyptian queen.
Yeah, because she has the headdress on.
Minus 1980. So she's at least 1,120 years old.
And she looked like that then.
That's crazy.
You know, so she was still a vampire. Like, she was a vampire then. So it's like she's at least...
I can only imagine the facial routine she's been going through.
It's the Kathy Bates facial routine, which is actually very good for you. The vampire facial is very popular at the moment.
Oh, on brand.
For real though, yeah, they take your blood out and they spin it and they separate the plasma from platelets and stuff like that, and then they put that back on your face. They irritate your face, and then they put the blood back on it. So your face is like, we're injured. We need to like make collagen now.
Yeah.
You know, and then your face like. It sucks all the blood back in.
Well, the one thing... Well, I mean, speaking of Miriam wears a salamander in most of her outfits. And obviously, for the listeners, if you don't know, a salamander represents immortality, represents rebirth, and it also represents passion and an ability to withstand flames. So... Like, I mean, straight up, that says straight away to me, like, passion to withstand flames. So, like, if she's in the flame or the enthrall of another lover, she's the passion to withstand one to the next, to the next, to the next.
Exactly. There's never a time where, like, you get the sense that she does this, the same thing she's doing with Susan Sarandon and Bowie.
Every few hundred years.
Exactly. That there's always crossover. There's never a time where she, like, doesn't have somebody, you know?
She doesn't like to be alone.
Which I get, you know? It's the whole thing of, like, being lonely, and it's like, you can't just find a lover. You have to find somebody who is like you.
Yeah.
If you are a vampire, or whatever she is, because it's not just
it's not expressed that she's a vampire, or that
like,
there
it's
are
not
vampires.
it's not just straight up vampirism, because it, like, there's no... I kind of get the sense that she might be, like, the only one of her kind in this. You know? Or, like, is she... Like, is her family, like, from a certain, like, sect of vampirism? Or, like, whatever the crack is, you know? Because, like,
Or are we in a universe where vampires never existed, and this is just, when I say vampires,
It's like
I
The
mean,
Walking
in
Dead,
main
where like
culture.
they've never heard of zombies.
Exactly, yeah,
Like,
you know what I mean?
Night of the Living Dead was never made.
Yeah,
They don't
well,
know what
because
that
like
is.
I mean, when Susan Sarandon turns around, she's like, "What am I?" And just like she doesn't like immediately goes like, "Am I a vampire?"
But that's kind
you
of,
know?
I mean, like that would be my first assumption.
Oh yeah, exactly.
You know?
But like,
She's also a scientist. I guess she's not going to go straight to like myth, but
True.
because she's like, "What did you give me? Like what's
what did you
happening to
do?
me?"
Yeah,
You know, because she's thinking it's some kind of virus, which it is.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like if you look at like any kind of classic vampire tale, it's like it does spread like a virus.
yeah,
Or like it does spread through blood, whether you are drinking another vampire's blood, that's how you get turned, or they bite you and like it goes
Transfer,
that way. You know,
yeah.
it's always in the blood. You know, vampirism is like a bloodborne pathogen in a way, whether they express it that way.
I mean, I suppose that's where we should probably talk about Bowie's decline and like the sort of how he, within the space of, I think it's what he's made to wait on her for about
2 hours.
2 hours,
She
and he
tells him 15
goes
minutes.
from being now, because he's already in his decline, so he's slightly older than when we first see him.
He's getting a
but
little bit
he
more
goes
papery.
from, you know, let's say 70-year-old Bowie to 120,
To a
130
skeleton.
to a skeleton, bro.
Yeah, for
you
real.
know, and I think the prosthetics are amazing.
They do look really
They're
good.
really good.
But also, the last time I watched this before watching it for the podcast was maybe like 3 weeks before rewatching it again. I watched it with Kev down at Lena's. And we were saying, like, I love that that's their prediction of what Bowie would look like when he's old. And it's like, Bowie just looked like Bowie.
Yeah.
With grey hair. You know, like, he didn't get any, like, more decrepit or
Yeah.
gross or anything. You know?
But I mean, obviously, for the purposes of trying to dramatize the film and being a little bit more dramatic, they
Yeah, you
want
need
to make him look
a little
like
bit
a
more
skeleton.
clay-like or
Exactly.
something, yeah.
They want to make him look sickly. And I mean, like, you could draw the parallels between that and, you know, the AIDS crisis at the time very plainly.
Like, it could happen very quickly.
Oh, very,
you know?
very quickly. Like, I mean, there's declines where you saw people that went from being healthy one week to being in a hospital bed another. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and vomiting and shitting themselves and not being able to eat.
Yeah, look,
you
if
know?
only Princess Diana had shaken his hand.
Oh, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. If she hugged that child with AIDS, she could have saved Bowie. I'm telling you.
But, like, I do love the fact that she's kind of like, oh my god, Mr. Blaylock. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Like,
she's-
she does snap out of it and does
Yeah.
want to, like, research him. And the thing that's weird is, like, he doesn't die in this movie. He's just in a box in the attic. You know, like, he's not dead. And then the idea that, like, that ancient Egyptian queen is just in her
Oh,
attic.
she's just in the corner there.
You know, when
like,
she like
just
puts him in a
stacked
box,
into a
and
box.
then there's just stacks of like
Yeah.
all her other lovers. You know.
Yeah.
I do also like the idea that because we know that she gets with people every 100 years or every couple of 100 years, that like everybody would be very distinctly different from the next.
Yes.
Like there'd
the
be
era.
nobody from even kind of the same time period.
Yes,
You
exactly.
know, you have everybody from ancient Egyptian queen to like 17th century farm boy.
Yeah. You
You
would
know?
think that being her lover, if you discovered an attic room full of her previous, like, boyfriends and girlfriends, that you'd be like, oh, maybe I should, yeah, exactly. You know, you'd be pulling at the collar and like, oh, this doesn't feel healthy at all.
As far as we know, Bowie is the one that's lasted the longest so far.
Yeah.
Like he's been able to withstand it longer, and she doesn't know why he's all of a sudden degrading. You know, because they do drink often. You know, I actually love the scene when he leaves the hospital on his way home. It's either on his way there or on his way home. Where there's that person just jamming out to some fucking like freestyle.
Yes.
Under the underpass or whatever like that on the roller skates, and then Bowie just
straight
comes out and
gets
attacks
him.
him.
Yeah.
But he's weak enough to be like pushed off.
Yes.
You know, and then he just kind of like hobbles home. You know, I don't know, it's really, really sad to see Bowie just like really, really, really degrade.
I'm
and just
gonna
not
get
be able to move.
I'm gonna get real dark for a moment. Died of cancer.
I know.
Or like, did the man look like that by the end? I don't think so.
No, I honestly think he looked like he did in the Lazarus music video.
Yeah.
You know, which is, again, I like borderline can't watch that music video because I'm like, this
It is
saying
very
goodbye,
sad.
because he knew.
That's him writing his will.
It is. It's literally him. It's like it's a farewell.
Yeah.
You know, like he's gone.
You know the what you call it? There is a YouTube video of it's called quote unquote old people react to David Bowie's last video.
Oh, they're all crying.
And, like there was this woman who just immediately breaks into tears.
Yeah,
and I was just like, oh my god, it just hit me in the feels so much. I was just like,
well, it was when Bowie died. It felt like oh shit, one of the
greats,
one of the idols is gone.
Yeah,
it's like it's weird. Bowie is like kind of weirdly been like immortalized in a weird way, where it's like he's the star man, like he's not human. He's just like the coolest
he's
guy.
Ziggy, he's the spiders from Mars. He's everything.
But also, every time you see David Bowie in a movie playing somebody, it's like, that's David Bowie.
Yeah.
Like
it's one of those things.
It's not a character. It's David Bowie in this movie.
Yeah. It's
like,
the
this
same.
is something David Bowie did in the 80s.
Yeah.
He became a vampire, died for a while, came back
as a magician, a warlock.
Yeah,
or
for real.
was it the orc king or the troll king or something like that?
Like you don't know.
Labyrinth. It's the labyrinth. No, what's he called? He's not the gnome king.
The Goblin King.
Or the Goblin King. That's it.
I've only seen that movie once when I was on acid, so I don't remember.
I fucking loved that movie. But it's the same problem that I have with actors like if Gaga was in a role. Like
I think
that's Gaga. Like there's no like, especially if she's playing an eccentric character. I'm just like, she's already eccentric in real life. So
it's like that's Lady Gaga as a vampire as Lady Gaga.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's kind of no, and that's not like a slight to like David Bowie as an actor
just
or
to be
Gaga
used
as
in
an
the right
actor.
way.
They're really, really good actors. It's just unfortunate that you know them so well out of that
so
industry. Exactly.
Yeah. Again, or like in The Bodyguard, it's like that's Whitney Houston from Whitney Houston.
Yeah. It is true. It's true.
I did love for Hotel though that they did just utilize her being Gaga. They didn't try and make her anything different.
Yeah.
The fact that like, yeah, she literally is just playing a vampiric version of herself.
Yes.
Oh my god, the scene in the elevator where it's her and Angela Bassett going through the decades.
Oh, that was so great.
The hair
and they're going
the
from
and she turns
super
like
lovers and to like just fucking
she's in like
each
a red
other.
leather jumpsuit with like this slick 80s hair.
Yeah.
Or like when they first meet in the disco where she's just Bianca Jagger and she's just like upstairs in like Studio 54, just like drinking from somebody, but it's like
all the gays around her just drinking blood as well.
I loved it so much. She's actually filming Nosferatu in that movie too.
Oh yes,
in the 20s thing where they gave her that horrid brow cover.
Oh god,
I could never get over it. It looked like they just smeared Play-Doh over her face, but it was so good. And she's in love with Valentino and everything.
Does everyone see my oatmeal eyebrow?
Seriously though, somebody has crushed a spring roll over her eyebrow.
Oh, it is quite the.
Could you shut the fuck up, please?
Could you just shut the fuck up?
Thank you.
Thank you.
But I just throw the bottle out the window when it stops.
Actually, hits the kid over the head.
I actually need to watch Hotel again. It's a fucking great season.
I don't know. I think I was about to say Funhouse, but Freak Show marked the decline for me.
That's my last. I think that's the last good season.
Yeah.
Or the last consistent season.
Yeah. Everything after that just sort of kind of went downhill, in my opinion.
We need to dedicate an episode to American Horror Story.
We will. We absolutely will. I'm more than happy to talk about shit talk that series. I mean,
it comes up.
There are straight up seasons where I just did not watch it.
Do you know what it was? Roanoke was the one that made me kind of be like, ugh.
Meh. Yeah.
Because now, look, Gaga in that season as Scathach, the like ancient Celtic witch, the first supreme.
Fucking having scalped a cunt the first time we see her, great.
Just that's a good use for her because she didn't look anything like herself.
Yeah, and she had a great accent as well, like the. It was so
like
good,
ancient Scottish or something like that. Oh, I thought that was so cool.
Came as a slave, left the ship as a queen.
She brought that brand of witchcraft to
the Americas.
America.
She was like, what was it? She was like the original
She's
Supreme.
the OG Supreme.
Yeah. Oh, it was fucking great. I loved that.
Coven was so good.
It just means that Jessica Lange and her daughter, played by Sarah Paulson, I can't remember, Cordelia, are descended from her.
Yeah.
It's so good. That's
and then
great.
we have, what was it? The, who brought the voodoo over? Because it's like a different brand of witchcraft.
Because it wasn't Marie Laveau.
Arawak.
She's the Arawak. Yeah. 2,000 line of euro shower. Necromancy.
Yeah, bro. Oh.
And she gave it to your girls at Salem.
Angela Bassett with like...
Angela Bassett did the thing.
Angela Bassett did the thing. Angela Bassett sitting... I remember when the promos were coming out for that. Angela Bassett... Oh, sorry, we will get back to the episode in a second. Angela Bassett with like 5-foot-long braids, sitting on like a giant crocodile skull throne, just playing on her iPad. Oh,
it's so
too
good.
much.
Well, speaking of getting back to this,
sorry, I have a big
Alice's death was probably one of the most sort of like... Because it's the death of not a child, but like a teenager in
I get the sense that she's like 13.
Yeah, it was done in a very artistic way and a very tasteful way that it wasn't...
There's no gore, really.
Yeah, it's everything that you see is implied through David Bowie's movements.
Because, like, it's weird because we get the sense that
she didn't have the fucking Quaaludes!
Like, we get the sense that he has to feed on a child because he's so weak.
Yes.
But also, it's for nothing because he's already past the point.
Of no return.
You know? But I do love the whole, like, her interaction with him where she thinks that it's his father. You know, because he looks like him, but it's just like you have his eyes, you know. And Miriam, she left the message for Miriam in the statue's hands. The Venus, or no, not the Venus de Milo, because she doesn't have hands. But you know what I mean.
Yeah. And that sort of sets up that whole kind of like the FBI agents, like trying to find out what the fuck is going on.
Who just isn't in this movie enough to be even a plot point.
Yeah. They
like
try
he's
to
in this
imply
scene,
it.
and then at the very end, and that's it, you know?
Yeah.
Which is a thing I always think of for vampire stuff like that, where I'm like, okay, unless you're like the kind of brand of vampire that has the idea of like glamoring, where you can kind of mind control people.
I think Miriam does use it.
She does, but not enough to like get a... Well, I suppose she does.
She uses over Susan Sarandon's character for sure.
Yeah, she
like,
does
she
kind
does
of get
that
away
whole
with stuff.
Kind of when Susan Sarandon's character is signing her book, and Miriam just walks in and like straight up Susan Sarandon just like stop talking and just like they lock eye contact for a while.
It's that moment in a hotel where Gaga
just
interrupts the fashion show though.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, and the sound of the thunder rolling, and she walks out in the middle of a fashion show late and sits down and is just staring Wes
That's
Bentley
what you call fashionably late.
Like that's... I don't know. The Gaga in that season, like, it's just literally the definition of cunt.
Yeah.
And Naomi Campbell is in that scene.
Yeah.
You know, and she's more cunt than Naomi Campbell. Which is insane.
Which, if you know Naomi Campbell, it's very hard.
That's cunt.
Very hard to make cunt, you know?
Naomi Campbell was my introduction to cunt as a child. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, whatever that woman is, I want to do that.
Well, there's one in particular moment during Alice's death that I thought was like very interesting because like her death is sort of very surrealistic and dreamlike.
Yeah.
In a way, because like it is a struggle, but the struggle is sort of like almost dancing in a strange way.
It's like a tango kind of.
I love the fact that when Bowie strikes her, you don't see the strike itself with the Ankh blade that he has. You just see her blood strike the music sheet, and it's just done in a very artistic way where it looks like music notes across the music sheets because the music sheet is empty except for the lines, and then all of a sudden the blood appears on the sheets, and I was just like, oh, that's so fucking cool.
Actually, who directed this? We actually didn't even say that.
God, we're fucking idiots, aren't we?
It's just, look, this is just one that we wanted to kind of get into, and like jump right into it, just because like it's, I don't know, it's kind of a little bit different than what we usually do.
Yeah.
You know, it's borderline an art house movie. Like
it's
shot very, very artistically.
It's intentionally done that way,
and it could almost be like it's almost a silent film in a way where there's like not a lot of dialogue in it. It's a lot of just like establishing shots. It's a lot of Catherine Deneuve sitting by a piano being like,
yeah,
you know, she's just tired.
Well, actually, I mean, during John's death,
directed by Tony Scott,
he like with his following interment and the rest of like when David Bowie's character actually does
quote
not
unquote
pass
die.
away, but quote unquote die.
Expires, let's say.
Yeah, and like following his, quote unquote internment into his own box with the rest of Miriam's lovers, we can hear Miserere Meo Deus, which is the I don't know how to do
the soundtrack.
Oh,
to
it's
this movie.
beautiful. Like it being sung in the background. It's a reference, obviously, to basically, like, I wrote it down in particular. It says it's a reference to a sinner looking inward for retribution and eventually being saved from his pain and suffering at his own hands.
Yeah.
So it's a very clear reference to John's arc, which is him being saved and then through his own sin, and then his like inward look at himself and being like, well, fuck.
Because he almost does have like remorse for being a vampire and for what they've had to do.
Yeah.
And with Catherine Deneuve, it's just, I think these people's real names are so much more interesting.
Miriam and John.
Mr. and Mrs. Blaylock.
Miriam and John Blaylock.
Sarah sound like the ancient Egyptian, more immortal witch, vampire, Miriam. It's like, what's...
I would say she's had different names over the years.
But like, what the fuck is Christopher Sarandon's Jerry? That's the vampire
Jerry,
name in
yeah.
Fright Night. It's like, Jesus Christ. You would change it to something a little bit more scary, or a little bit more vampiric, something more chic. And, this is the first vampire on Earth.
Like,
Robert.
Well, I always think to that moment in Rick and Morty where there's a subplot of a vampire in the school, and it's never actually like addressed, but it's always just there in the background, and they find out it was the coach, and his name was Coach Ferratu.
I love it.
The end scene is some random like vampire castle with vampire council, and the vampire king is like, oh god, we just lost another vampire, and the guy declares his name was Coach Ferratu, and then he was like, this shouldn't be happening. He's like, I'm sorry, did you say his name was Coach Ferratu? And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, can we not just have fucking stupid entendres on like Dracula names?
Exactly.
And he's like, I feel like I'm being the asshole here. Am I being the asshole here?
Dude, you need something. It's like if you were a vampire doctor, your name would be Dr. Acula.
Doc Acula.
No, Dr.
Acula, yeah.
What the fuck is it in Son of Dracula? His name is Alucard, which is just Dracula backwards.
Yeah.
So stupid. You would need something a little bit more like sounding.
Just give it some random like European ancient name, and you'll be fine.
Or like Gilgamesh 5 or whatever.
The fifth.
Seriously though, first of
St. James, La Laurie, Dupree, Delacroix, and Cartier.
But like your second name is just the fifth. Like it's not a number or anything.
Oh yeah, you've never changed your name over the decades.
It's just the
first.
The family name is the fifth.
Yeah.
Like it's one word.
But you brought it up as the fact is that Miriam's uses, now whether it's intentional like witchcraft or not, like she has a glamour like several times in the film, and like she's calling the policeman to service her needs.
Oh, she does. I forgot
She's
that
like
scene.
capturing the attention of Susan Sarandon's character or saving her from the truck. Like she literally like just looks out the window and Susan Sarandon's just like,
That's
and
a great
then she
shot.
gets pulled back. It's like there are several times in this movie where she almost is like telepathic as well.
I think there is a moment where they're sorry.
Gorgeous.
They're when Susan is in the house and she's drinking the sherry or whatever, she does talk to her telepathically.
Yeah.
And this is before they're like connected blood-wise. Susan Sarandon speaking of, Susan Sarandon walking around in a tight white t-shirt with no bra.
Oh yeah.
When we were watching Rocky Horror with all the straights in your gaff,
Yeah.
we were trying to tell them that it's like, okay, look, Susan Sarandon does get naked in movies. Not in this one. If you watch The Hunger, you get to see her pussy.
A lot.
There's a moment where they're literally 69ing in this movie. It's so fucking hot, dude.
Love it. It's great.
Oh, well, I always say Susan Sarandon is just like one of the sexiest women of all time.
But also, David Bowie's character and Susan Sarandon's character don't have the same powers as Miriam's character, Catherine Deneuve's character. They don't. They just don't. So, like, my guess is that either she has these innate in her or she's developed them over the time of her lifespan.
Like, who changed her?
Exactly.
You know,
like who
what's...
developed her to this point that she is?
Because we do get the sense that there is, like, she's isolated from if there are any other vampires or whatever she is.
Yeah.
Because there's usually the implication in movies like this that there is other vampire covens or there is other people out there, but we do get the sense that she's the only one. And she, like Susan Sarandon, has been experimenting on people to try and see, like, okay, like, how do I get this to stick? How do I get this to, like, work? Or how do I get somebody who's truly immortal? Because we do get the sense that they are immortal to a point. Or they're not immortal, they're just impervious to aging.
It's like the whole...
It's the opposite of progeria. It's not immortality.
Death becomes her. It's preserve yourself well.
Exactly. You're not... you're not invincible. You're immortal.
Yeah.
You know, so, like, you won't die necessarily, but you still have to keep your body up.
It's like, let's say, for example, if you were this type of vampire, if I, like, chopped your fucking arm off,
I would still be alive, but I just wouldn't have another arm.
Exactly.
You know, drink well.
Like, if you broke your fucking leg, you would still... Exactly. Like, it's that very much... It's that thing. It's like, you must take care of your body.
They smash all the steps and they're still alive.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they can't die, but they can break down, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like you're alive, but the shell can get damaged.
Exactly.
You know, you're the ghost in the shell.
Yeah.
If you will.
Oh, I see what you did there.
But, yeah, this just seems like a really... Like, do you know what? I will say, I said to you, this movie is boring, but I don't hold that against it, because I think it's
because it just makes up for it, like, with all the beautiful, like, artistic moments and the secret messages behind it and all of this. I mean, like, David Bowie's only in it for about 40 minutes at most. And, like, he has very few dialogue scenes. And he does extremely well. Like, even with him gone for more than half the movie now, it still holds up. Like, I don't find it boring in the sense that it's not engaging. I think
it's intentional, though, because I think it's supposed to kind of make you feel kind of how Miriam does.
Yeah.
The kind of idea, like, it's not... When I say boring, I don't mean it's not entertaining. I think I mean it's...
Because it is entertaining.
It's drawn out, and it's kind of in the same way The Shining is. It's supposed to give you that feeling of being a little bit restless, or being a little bit, like, bored, for lack of a better word. You know, it's supposed to kind of leave you feeling a little bit like, ugh. Like, it is kind of a draining movie. Like, when it finishes, you're kind of like, oh, okay, it's over.
Yeah.
You know, they don't lean very much into the horror until literally the very end.
Yeah.
The very end it's really fucked up, where she's just getting, like, ripped apart by all of her fucking ex-lovers.
There was one thing that I kept noticing everywhere was the calla lilies.
Yes.
In Miriam's house was something that I was like, because, like, obviously there's a massive amount of hidden messages in this film, but, like, in her apartment, which traditionally symbolize death, but in this context, just before the big lesbian makeout scene, they stand for fertility and longevity. Yeah. So this is the part where Jerry, where Susan Sarandon's character comes in, and they basically fuck, and she does this massive, like, bloodletting ritual. I
think she spiked her with Sherry, though,
abso-fucking-lutely, bro.
You know, but they're
so
scissoring. You know, Tony Scott fully said, okay, girls, listen. I said, you need to sit down for this, girls. So, Catherine.
Prepare thy anus.
Miss Geneve, I want you to get naked, and I want you to... Look, it's not going to eat itself. Okay? You know, and, like, I don't know, Susan Sarandon...
Get
like,
in there and eat her pussy.
Seriously, don't just stare at it, eat it, you know?
Oh my god.
But yeah, this movie is, like this scene is, like, it's great, you know, but it's shot really weirdly, where, you're gonna get the sense that, like, the session had gone on for hours. You know?
The whole time you would...
The whole time? No, it's whole time.
Yeah.
You know?
I love it.
But yeah, for real, I think Catherine Deneuve, like, really delivers...
lesbian.
Yeah, it's giving dyke.
But it is shot in a non-pornographic way.
No, it's like
It's
they are just having
almost.
they are just having sex.
They
you
are
know? It's
making
not like,
love,
and that's the thing.
in
They're
a
both
sort of
fully
more
naked.
pure sense.
Yeah,
if
like
that
they're
makes
both
sense.
fully naked.
Even though
you know?
she's spiked her and infecting her with her blood.
No,
and
she
blah,
spiked
blah,
her with blood. I don't think she like gave her drugs. You know,
They were
'cause she's
just
like,
at Bauhaus at the CBGB, so maybe.
Look, she's like, I don't like Sherry. She's like, you like this one. You know,
It's sweet.
I also don't like Sherry. But
2 double 7 and 7s, and she turns out, she goes, what that? Catherine turns out, it's sweet, you'll like it.
of course, Sherry is such an old woman's drink, but I suppose that tracks for her. 'Cause
Of
she's
course.
ancient, you know?
Yeah.
It's always like, Granny's had too many Sherrys at Christmas.
Ooh,
You know, like, no, who drinks Sherry?
Who does
You know?
that?
But also, Catherine Deneuve in this just has like this purple lavender eyeshadow with just like just a pink blush. Like she's got so much blush on. You know, down below the 80s rolled back around, she was like, yeah, blush is back in.
Oh yeah, I mean,
You
like
know?
she was waiting for the moment. She knew fashion, which she knew mint will be very big in fashion.
She's got all this shit from back in the day though.
She knew it. She knew it straight up. She was like, "Oh, I've been around the French aristocracy. I know what blush is."
I've got my Carmine, you know.
She saw the 80s runways from like Mugler, and so she was like, "Oh, grand, let me just get out my powdered wigs and like my fucking dirty ass rouge. I'm fucking going French slut once again."
Like they went to the golf club in the 80s. Were they going to like the disco in the 70s? Do you know what I mean?
I fully believe.
Were they at like the
there
half
was, like,
things in the 60s
yes,
and stuff? You
I
know?
fully believe that they were there for like the weirdest shit going down.
Like
you know
all
what
of
I mean?
it, you know.
So I fucking loved it. I really, really do appreciate the sort of because not a lot of horror film, or is it more sort of surrealistic horror film, shall I say, where there's not a lot of depth beyond what you're just seeing on screen, and this film has a lot more depth to it than a lot of like this sort of art house horror, shall we say, has. You know, I mean, like, the only ones that I can equate to that would be something like the modern Suspiria remake, or something like Hereditary, where there's a lot of stuff that is going on in the background that you sort of had to rewatch to notice.
Tell me about
you know?
it. Like, how fucking hard was it to find a fucking screening of Suspiria? They were only showing it in the Lighthouse, which shows a lot of art house stuff. Now, mind you, I think we were very lucky with the Lighthouse that weekend because we managed to see...
We saw it on Halloween.
We managed to see it on Halloween,
Yeah.
sneak preview before it came out, and we managed to see the original Suspiria like 2 days before in the same cinema.
Yeah.
Which was such a fucking treat. We dragged Gemma and Lindsay to that, poor girls.
They just didn't know what they were looking at.
Yeah, for real. Hey, Gemma ended up like sitting on the stairs or something like that. Because that was like a first come, first served, like you sit where you can get.
Where you can get,
And we sat in the front row.
row. And the screen was up here.
Oh,
it was
almost
looking
too
almost
much.
vertically up at the screen.
It was almost too much. But
Yeah.
no, that was fucking great. But yeah, this is like, I think Suspiria 2018 is actually, no, not 2018. 2018?
It'd be 2017. 2017.
I think that's a very good comparison to this movie where it's like, it's technically not art house, but it like pushes right up against it.
Oh yeah, like it's heavily knocking on the door of art house while trying to straddle the fine line of horror. You know
Like
what I'm saying?
it's a very visually strong movie.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
this very easily could have just been a kind of plain vampire movie.
Oh yeah, it could have been boring as fuck, but they played around with ideas that up until that point had never been introduced. So like the idea of like a vampire just being like a possibly sexually fluid queer icon to this straight up like, I am an ancient being from Egypt.
Yeah.
And I know my history and I know what I'm doing. All of this, I take care of my body. I'm, X, Y, and Z. And like I know my art history.
I know my shit. Yeah.
Well, speaking of ancient Egyptian, the moment Susan Sarandon becomes the idea of a vampire is she's just transformed into this almost Cleopatra-esque queen in the bed. Did you notice that? I was drawn back by that moment. I was just like, she's like writhing and screaming on the bed,
It's
and
like
then all of a sudden she's
the
like,
gauzy
Egyptian queen.
It is. It's like that, and like those flashbacks of her with, I forget the name. It was like Leela or something like that. When it, like it's a fictional Egyptian queen, obviously. Like it's not Cleopatra or anything. Which I actually think could have been cool.
Yes.
to like actually tie it into something historically.
Yeah.
But it's just the idea of like, and we only get to see the room and the bed, you know, but it's like you can tell like it's like an ancient Egyptian like temple somewhere.
Yes.
Where it's like all gauzy and there's no windows, you know, and it's just all
there's
all
basins
open
for
fire and
fires.
stuff.
Yeah,
and it's just all this gauze. It's not even really like a modern bed. Do you know what I mean? It's just kind of
it's a slab.
It's
of
like
concrete
Caligula's
with
bed
some,
in Caligula,
some
you know.
duck shit. You know.
Oh
great.
God, I love it so much.
It really, really is.
It's like I want to see
beautiful.
this, you know, like for how much we focus on like how old vampires are. I'm like, but give me ancient vampires in ancient times. It's always implied.
Yeah.
Like you were saying earlier with Eric Northman, it's like like we're told straight up that he's a Viking, and I'm like, okay, but show me that.
Yeah.
I want to see that. Like, how were people back then?
Show me how he found out that he has to drink blood. Like,
Exactly.
like what does that mean for a vampire that, like,
The first vampire, how did they deal with it?
How did they deal with that? Like, was there a craving there? Did they just know, or did they find out, or do you know what I mean? Like, where did the understanding of the craving for blood come from?
Yeah.
Like, where did they just know innately that it was the blood that would save them, or did they accidentally murder someone and then suddenly come across blood on their hands or
Because
something?
it's
You know
like,
what I mean?
if we're talking about like first vampires, not somebody who was taught by another vampire, you know.
God, modern vampires have it so easy these days.
They do that. Do you know what, actually, for how kind of lame a movie Dracula Untold was, I actually really like the scene where Luke Evans goes up and meets Christopher Dance, and Christopher Dance is quote unquote, he's actually supposed to be Caligula in that movie.
Yeah,
Caligula that's made a deal with a demon, you know, and he becomes the first vampire, and he's had to figure all that shit out for himself. So we see that he's taught this by this ancient vampire, you know, and like I really like that idea, especially in like back in the day, like in period times where it's like people did just not question the fact that vampires were real.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like about being back like alive during the day, I don't know how it was for you, but like
I was waiting.
I can only imagine. Being alive during the day was like, okay, demons are real. Like, it's not like a question of if they are or not. It's like demons are real, vampires are real, werewolves are real.
The earth is flat, there are sea monsters.
Exactly. Like, we don't cross the ocean because there's
heaven above, hell below.
And stuff is there, you know. I love the concept of, like, if you're like, there's a vampire, and everybody's like, oh shit. Not like, shut the fuck up, no there isn't.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know, just like the idea of a whole village being afraid of a vampire and not questioning it is, like, so cool to me.
Yeah.
More ancient vampire representation in movies, please.
Just give me, you know, what would be really interesting is seeing, and this is totally out of left field, but seeing like an African, like just, or a Middle Eastern vampire, or like an ancient Asian vampire, things like that.
Yeah.
Because the cultures that are built up around, let's say, for example, a Chinese vampire, or the equivalent of, let's say, sub-Saharan
like
vampire.
everywhere has their own version of it.
Their own version of it. I think it's just so fucking interesting.
Like what we think of as vampires now is very European.
Yeah,
you know, but that's just
that's because they're the ones that were popularized.
and it's because of Dracula.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Irish
Bram
would like
Stoker. I was
to
going to say, yeah, I always love to claim that, you know. Have you ever gone to his house?
Yeah, I've been several
You should
times.
definitely go to the Dracula Museum soon.
It's a great one. The one that I always thought interesting was from that eyewitness thing about monsters, myth and monsters, and there was one about a Chinese vampire where obviously you know the theory where they can't cross a moving body of water.
Yeah.
So for a Chinese vampire, if you were to lay rice out in a certain way, right, the vampire couldn't cross a line of rice.
How can a billion
He would
Chinese people
have
be
to-
wrong?
He would have to count every single grain of rice before crossing that threshold.
Oh, yeah.
That just made, and it was a shot, right, of some random white guy who painted his hand yellow awkwardly with some really like cunty long nails and a obviously shitty kimono.
Yeah.
And he was just like picking up one grain of rice and putting it from one side of the table to the other. It was so cool. But like I always remembered looking at that shot being like, that's so fucking cool. Why don't we have a fucking film like that?
Yeah, give me
that.
that.
Is so fucking cool.
I have always complained.
Can you imagine some random guy thinking like, fuck, let me just lay out some rice for this asshole.
I do love the idea of getting different cultures, myths and stuff like that. Because like ultimately all monsters come from myth in some way, shape or form.
They're subconscious.
But I remember even like asking Yemi, I'm like, what are like the classic like African monsters? You know, like you got like the Tokolosh and stuff like that.
Oh,
where
the
you have to,
Tokolosh, yes!
you have to,
Oh my
like,
god!
you have to put your bed on bricks covered in newspaper because they like can't get you or whatever. But I'm like, I want stuff like that in movies, you know. And I'm sure cultures are making it and stuff. I just haven't gone and explored enough. But like, yeah, I like the idea of seeing different cultures, not even like interpretations of classic stuff. It's like, what are your classics?
Yeah.
Like, what are the bedtime stories other cultures tell their kids, like, to be afraid? You know, because like even just recently we have like the boogeyman, and I'm like, okay, but what's the like, yeah, like you were saying, like what's like the African equivalent to that, or not even the equivalent? What's like the African?
What's the Northern European equivalent of it? Like the way up north. Like,
yeah, exactly.
What's the Norwegian equivalent of that?
Like, what are your classic campfire
What's the
tales?
Brazilian version of that? Like,
Yeah, for
give
real.
me something that I have never ever fucking seen before.
Because I think
you know?
vampires, the actual idea of like vampires as we know them, comes from Greece.
Yes, it's true. Yeah.
Cause like, well, it's like where like it's like a vampire, not like a different version, or like we've called it something else. I think like the original stories of vampires do come from Greece. But yeah, stuff like that. Like, where the fuck is this? Or Brian. I remember Brian in my class in school. He's from the Philippines and stuff, and like that, always just being obsessed with monsters. And I'm like, what's like the Philippine?
Oh my god,
like,
that would
creepy
be awesome.
story that
Yeah.
like you're told by your dad or your mom before you go to bed, or
Yeah.
whatever it is. Like, what's
Like, if you don't go to bed on time, what's the monster that will come get you?
exactly? Or it's
Yeah.
like the idea of like La Llorona and stuff like that. It's like that's cautionary, like don't play by the water.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because like what, like yeah, I want to see more shit like that in movies. You know, somebody give money to fucking ethnic directors and stuff like that, so we can get some different fucking stories. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
like as much as I love vampires and werewolves and stuff like that, I'm like, give me more.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
give me Trolls. Troll Hunter was fucking great.
that
They
was
made them
fucking
scary.
fantastic.
You know,
Troll!
exactly. You know, and I'm like that's European. That's from like right
That's-
over there. You
That's
know, and we never get troll
terrifying
stories.
that they're that big and they're willing to just be like, I'm gonna pick you up and
just
eat
this
you.
mountain
Yeah.
thing with a nose. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, I just want
Blood curdling creams.
The Tower of London.
the Tower of London. Just makes you think of blood curdling creams.
I'm actually playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla at the moment, and because
Oh, you are.
but London is in it, but it's Lunden, so they
Linden.
pronounce it Linden.
Linden.
Every time they say that, I think of that clip though. The Tower of Linden.
Well,
So the hunger.
so the hunger. We actually never talked about the really random subplot of her husband. Like, did you notice that? Like,
He
he's
just shows up to the house and everything.
yeah, he's, I just thought it was so funny. It was like, he's straight up. This is like the first time she's gone to Miriam's apartment, and Susan Sarandon's character is straight up sitting down across the dinner from him. Was like, yeah, she's just a lonely woman. I was just having sherry with her, and he straight up was like, you're fucking her.
Yeah,
you are fucking her, aren't you?
Not yet, you know. And she's sitting there with like the bloody steak, like the raw
Yeah.
steak, and he's like, "Why did you order it raw?" And she's like, "I'm not hungry." And again, just pulling a cigarette out in a
Yeah.
restaurant
Yeah.
and smoking. Also, kind of point out,
Just
their
kind.
bathroom, the lighting in their bathroom is
Yeah.
fucking insane. It's just blue lighting.
I love it.
There's no like white like fluorescence or anything. It's a blue neon bar above their mirror. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fucking insane. The 80s, man.
The 80s. It's just it's a whole different era. to
Like her
what we
bathroom
grew
looks
up
like a
with.
fucking like crime scene. You know, it's like it's giving forensics. You know,
Well, I love how, like, he straight up was just like, you're fucking her.
she's like,
yo,
so
like,
no, I'm not.
yeah, like, that's what she's doing.
Cut
She's
it
straight up like,
out.
stop. We don't even know each other that well. It's just like, you have your fingers in her vag. You're fucking her. You fucked her earlier.
Over on that side of
How
New York,
did
we
you
don't
so
call it
laugh?
fucking.
We call it making love. But like, straight up, she's just like, I just only spent an hour or two. It was like, you were gone for 7 hours.
Bitch, and I can smell cunt on your breath. Okay.
You have a little fish.
Yeah, exactly.
You got like fish on your mouth there.
Somebody's been eating tuna. So good.
Tuna casserole,
Oh,
baby.
there's-
Oh, you're not hungry? Did
Oh,
you
is that
have
her
too much
name? Is that what the
fish?
kids are calling it now?
Oh my god. But she goes back to her because obviously, like, she can't fucking deal with, like, the pressure of, like, what the fuck is going on. Also, Willem Dafoe is randomly in this movie?
Quoted as teen punk. It's
implying that he is younger than Susan Sarandon.
It's crazy though, but it's Willem Dafoe as a rando. Like, it's not Willem Dafoe in a role.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
it might as well just be a cameo
for like an hour. You know, there's one. Willem Dafoe is always—he's so creepy looking.
I know, but like all he was doing was striking up a conversation with her at the phone booth, and
they're like,
"You're a fucking weirdo, bro. Fuck off."
Yeah, but she walks away, and they're like, "Fucking bitch."
And this fucking silver coat that she fucking wears.
Oh, this LeMay
everything.
Because like you were saying, it's like after they fuck or whatever, like that.
As she's feeling,
she is. She's walking around. She's like got like higher shoulder pads and shit.
Lesbian. What?
Seriously though. You know, she's on her way back over there to see her female lover.
On the way back from the market, she just forgot the fish.
I love it so much. So the rest of the movie gets kind of not blurry. The rest of the movie is her just kind of being like, exactly. Why did you do this to me? And Catherine was just like, because I'm bored or whatever, you know.
Because you're meant to be with me, and she's like, stop.
I'm cold and I'm wet and I'm just plain scared. Catherine, you know.
Oh my
but
God.
They start studying her blood, and they're like, it's animal blood. Like, it's not.
Yeah,
so,
it's like attacking.
So Catherine Deneuve is like, she's not human. Like,
yeah.
I know when they say like she's not human, she's a vampire, but I mean like vampires are still technically human.
Yes,
the base genome is human, you know, but like they're not like another species. But then in this, it's like, no, I think she is another species. I think like vampires are not humans that have been turned. Vampires are like a different stage in evolution. Mm-hmm. In this, to me at least.
It's like a fork in the road. Like either you're going straight to the grave or you're going to end up going down this route. Yeah,
you know, because so she's trying to make others of her, and she just can't. You know, so it's like, you're getting infected. So it's if you fuck a Catherine Deneuve or eat a monkey, you get AIDS or vampires.
Oh, I love it.
So this is how it started. It wasn't Freddie Mercury fucking monkeys.
Oh my God. Stop.
Whatever. Did you know you can't get AIDS by sucking dick?
Great.
I didn't know that. Could have saved me so much time.
Could have saved me so much dick.
No, the dick was like irrelevant. It's the AIDS I want. That deep, rich colour.
You shut up. You know good and goddamn well the dick is very relevant in that situation.
I know.
What
are you talking about?
But you know what? Either way.
Determined to enjoy myself.
Flames on the side of my head.
Yeah.
So, Susan Sarandon turns on Miriam.
Kind of instantly. I mean, not instantly, but it's kind of just like, oh, she's dead.
She found Christ. She couldn't live with being a lesbian.
She's not even dead. She just gets attacked, and then all the fucking corpses in the attic just they get the nerve.
You had some nerve getting out of your costume.
The gall, you know. But they all get up, and then they're just like, I love the fact that like they're all bald.
Some of them are straight up mummies.
Some of them are like literal mummified corpses.
Yeah.
But I love that like all the men are bald, and then the chicks still just have really long, thin, spindly hair because that's how you know that they're women.
The odd audacity of it all. The fact that she's supposed to be the strong one in the situation. And like she's straight up Susan Sarandon when she's like grabbed by fucking what's his name, Frankenfurter. No,
literally though.
Stop!
I think this is her kind of just being like, "Fuck, okay,
Yeah.
I can't really like get away with it anymore. Like this is my time, you know." And she dies differently. So
what they do is they basically the
like
mummies
dementor her to death.
Dementor her to yeah, exactly. And then they just fuck her over a staircase.
It's so funny. It reminded me of anytime somebody dies in Sweeney Todd,
Oh,
where they
yeah,
just
yeah.
dump a dummy down. It's so funny, bro.
But she collapses onto the like obviously there, but she like falls and breaks
the house
herself
is, like crumbling. The house is
Yeah.
like she's like
it reverts from
falling
like again it's like another kind of glamour thing where like it reverts from like something beautiful into like immediately
crypt or
decaying.
something.
Yeah, it's really really fucking gorgeous.
and that like long shot of her just like
yeah,
it's actually really beautiful, but it is
is.
really scary because she goes from being quote unquote young Catherine Deneuve to
Yeah.
being like a mummy, like
Yeah.
a desiccated corpse. You know,
you get the sense that
and
like
her hair is thinning and her skin is getting like closer to the
becomes
skull.
sallow and like she just turns into a mummy herself.
And then
But a
it's,
gorgeous mummy though.
and then it's over.
yeah.
You know, and then the
The mummies just like look down the staircase, look at one another, and they just walk back into their casket.
But exactly, I'm like, what the fuck do they do with themselves?
Exactly.
Because, again, they're not dead. They're not ghosts. They're not
Yeah.
apparitions. They're still alive.
They're just extremely weak.
So, like, yeah, it's like we were saying at the start. David Bowie in this doesn't die. He
He's
just,
still there.
you know, it's like I
Does
think
he
they,
show
like,
up? No, he just stands in a corner and watches it.
Yeah, I think he's been like, right, lads. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna fuck this bitch up. So she's been fucking that chick.
Hey, you fucking can't.
For real, it's like, so she's started fucking that chick from Witches of Eastwick. No, not Cher, not Michelle Pfeiffer, the other one.
The other one,
the one with the red hair. So she's fucking her, right? So when she comes over, we're gonna fuck her shit up, okay? We're gonna push her down the stairs. You know, and then he shows up and all of her stuff is just, like the police officer shows up and all of her stuff is just gone.
Yeah.
But we get the sense that Susan Sarandon can handle it.
Yeah, so the way I view like the ending scene where she like looks out over like the balcony of like her massive new apartment
It's
is
huge.
she fucking fleeced the joints
Yeah.
of like money, riches, jewelry, and
I mean, you
shit.
would.
Of course you would.
No, I always joked if I was a cat burglar, it's not to sell off, it's just because I like pretty things.
Yeah.
You know?
You know good and goddamn well that woman had jewelry from ancient Egypt, you know, desks and
Artifacts.
and cabinets and stuff from, you know, French
She's pulling up all the
aristocracy.
expensive marble tiles.
Exactly.
So, you know,
She just like fleeced everywhere she's had a boyfriend, girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like, you
You
know the
would,
way you
though.
take your shit from your ex's apartment and you just leave?
and I'm taking this.
She does, yeah, exactly. She was doing that every single time.
Oh, it's so cool.
No wonder why she's fucking minted, bro.
I would love... This is also based on a novel. I didn't know that.
Yes.
I actually didn't realize it until the end of watching it just last time.
By so and so.
I'd be very curious actually to read it to see if we get a little bit more backstory.
Yeah.
Because I'm super curious about Miriam's backstory.
Yes.
You know, because she's been around. Yeah, like we were saying, she's been around since.
She's
at
at
the
least
very
1,200
least-
years old.
Exactly, she's been around since at the very least ancient Egypt.
Yeah.
You know.
Depending on what dynasty, but at least the eras of Egyptian dynasties.
And she was already a vampire then.
Yeah,
Or she
exactly.
was already what she is.
Yeah. So
You
she
know?
could have lived for at least 100, 200 years before that, but like guaranteed minimum oldest she is ancient Egypt.
I think this movie could do with a prequel.
It sure fucking could.
You know, just
You know?
show me her going through, or like a Showtime HBO series or something. Each
would
episode
be
is a new
fucking
dynasty,
sick.
or each episode is a new
Era?
A new era.
Yeah.
That'd be fucking cool as shit.
Yeah.
You know?
I would love to see what she was doing during like Gangs of New York era.
Yeah, for
Like
real.
stuff I'd fucking kill
Femme
to see
fatale.
that. Yeah, she's got that really long fucking stick with the cigarette at the end of
Yeah,
it.
dude.
Fucking love that. That would
Now
be
she's
sick.
that bitch. Who's that fucking bitch in Gangs of New York that has like the Freddy Krueger gloves?
The
Hell,
Irish
Berry.
one. Yeah.
Oh, dude, hell yeah! She's got
To
like
eat the
filed
ears.
teeth and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah,
She's
dude.
sick. Love that.
Because
That was great.
I kind of get the sense that that's when she met David Bowie, kind of. Is like when New York was still like a
Young.
farm village.
Yeah.
You know, when it was Gotham.
Yeah.
You know, before it was New York. Oh, God. Make
Loved
more
it.
ancient vampire shit. It's all I want to see.
So
You
that was
know?
the Howling.
Was
The
it?
Howling? The Hunger. Oh, wow. I did
Have
not.
you seen The Howling?
I've seen bits of it. Not
You-
all of it.
You saw Bravo's 100 Scariest Movie Moments.
I saw
Where
that.
he slaps that bitch in the filing cabinet office.
But I also seen the ones where they're like morphing in that tent, that like French tent scene.
It's
and stuff.
very good. The werewolves in that movie are scary, which to me, like, I don't know, it's like the fear of being attacked by a wild animal is like base instinct fear for humans. It's got a great like werewolf design where I'm like, my ideal werewolf is an anthropomorphized wolf.
Yeah.
You know, wolf head, human body, big, hairy. You know,
big fucking nasty teeth and claws.
I don't need, like, I like American Werewolf in London, but I'm like, that's a bear.
Give me, give me dog soldiers or more.
They're creepy.
They're
in dog soldiers.
great.
It's because they're tall.
Yeah,
and
they're
thin,
so big.
You know,
the one thing that always freaked me out about that movie is the fact that the wolf just runs by the guy, and like next thing you know, his guts are on the ground.
They glue them
Fucking
up.
great.
Which is
Love
what
it.
superglue was invented for, was for suturing wounds.
Love it.
You know, I don't think we've covered anything werewolf on the channel yet.
No.
At all.
Oh yeah, we could do a werewolf month. I think we could do one.
Can I propose Cursed by Wes Craven?
Because of course you would.
It's a great movie.
The werewolf turns around and gives her the finger.
It's because Christina Ricci's like, she's got bad skin and a bony ass. And then Judy Greer as a werewolf breaks in and goes, liar! Gives her the finger. Also, the werewolf transformation from Judy Greer in that movie really freaked me out as a kid.
Oh, it's
That's
demented.
totally just a different glass of water.
Mm.
Oh, you brought up too? Mm-hmm. Okay, clever girl. I was like, I don't know how long that's been.
Cute.
I was like, I don't know how long that's been now. But,
So next week.
what the fuck are we doing next week?
We're doing a slab episode. Slab!
What did we do last time? I think you chose last time.
No, we didn't. You did. It was serial killers.
No, it wasn't. We've done a slab since then. Let's pause this so we don't look so unprofessional. So I don't remember what we were saying a couple of seconds ago. But
We were talking
so
about
next week the
next
slab. we're
Very
going to be covering
precious.
Dragula. Fuck yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited for this to talk about it.
So we're still kind of in the process of developing how we're going to do the episode, but I
Yes.
think we're going to run down through a couple of our favourite looks, a couple of our favourite challenges,
episodes,
a couple of our favourite queens.
the messages behind the show. I think that sort of thing is really important.
Yeah. A couple of our favourite moments.
Yes.
Because it's also our first time covering television.
And the drama of it all.
Yeah.
The drama, mama.
Now, I'm very excited. Dracula is one of my favourite shows. It's something I kind of look forward to every year.
Yeah, I mean, so it's going to be hard to talk about this without talking about Drag Race. It's just going to be a thing, so just deal with it. We got to have context for what we're going to be talking about. So if you're not familiar with Dragula, which I presume most of our listeners would be, you know, familiar. So if you're not familiar with Dragula, go on Shudder, watch every single thing you can possibly find on Dragula, and go look up the fucking Boulet brothers and Venmo a fucking queen from their show, man.
Season 1 is on
YouTube.
Yeah.
Season 2, 3, actually all 4 seasons are on Shudder, and
Well,
then
'cause
Resurrection,
it's a Shudder exclusive
as
now.
well as Titans are all on Shudder.
I loved Resurrection so much.
Fucking killed it.
So yeah, Dragula next week, just to round up the Pride season.
Yeah, we're fucking delighted. I've been wanting to talk about this forever.
We're gonna have an extra special guest.
Extra special guesties.
My drag daughter.
Drag.
It's natural.
Drag. You law.
Are they girls or boys?
Drag. Filth. Horror and glamour.
I feel like that's literally kind of where we got the tendons for our show.
Oh, 100%.
Horror, fear, and macabre.
Filth, and...
Horror, fear, and macabre.
Horror, fear, and macabre, yeah. I mean...
We haven't done filth yet.
But we will be with this, for fucking sure.
One
Who's
of
your
the days-
favorite queen?
Oh,
Or
God.
king, or AFAB, whoever.
I'm very, very, very partial to a Victoria Elizabeth Black, but I have been since her original season. I love Abora. I love Abora so much. I really, really like her style. We both fell in love with Coco Kane.
I fucking
last
love
season
her!
too.
Oh my god, she's amazing! Trans woman, So proud of you.
I also
love you.
Really, really like Sigourney Beaver. I like Hoso. Yeah. I also was kind of obsessed with Monique Shame for a while before she got on Dragula. I was friends with her on Facebook for a long time. So fucking hot out of drag.
Wait. You know what I just thought? We didn't do Human Chair of the Week.
Oh, in this movie?
Yeah, for the hunger, dude.
I mean, we literally only have one option.
Well, I mean, you
That's actually not true.
That's not true, yeah.
You know what? I'm going to give it to Susan Sarandon. And I know David Bowie's standing right there, but I don't find David Bowie sexy. Would I have sex with him? Yes, because it's David Bowie. But, I have this weird thing where, like, I find John F. Kennedy sexy because he was the president of the United States.
Who wouldn't? He's the president.
But if John F. Kennedy was just your man, you know the Kennedy's younger son that lives down the road, I wouldn't give a fuck.
Johnny boy.
Dude was cockeyed as fuck. Everybody knows that it was Bobby Kennedy that was the sexy one. But yeah, it's fucking David Bowie. Like, I don't think David Bowie's... He's beautiful in, like, a Tilda Swinton way. But, like, whatever. It's gonna be Susan Sarandon. Get your cold, wet, scared tits out of that shirt and put them on my face, baby.
I love it. So, you've been listening to...
I make all those up on the spot, by the way.
They're fucking great.
I
have to do a massive mashup of all of those. I really do. I have to. Because they're fucking brilliant, bro.
They're so hard, though.
Poetic.
Because like that, it always just comes up randomly, and then it's like, oh.
Well... You've been listening to
They're
Here. Make sure to subscribe, like, follow, comment on YouTube, Instagram if you want to hear your favourite movies being shite talked about.
Dude, honestly, YouTube comments make me so happy.
Yeah,
I don't care if they're negative or not.
Yeah, they're great. The trolls are just as good as the compliments. We have to trust a true critique.
And did you know that Black Sunday isn't a Jell-O? And it's like, yeah, we fucking said that in the
episode. Did you fucking read? Did I fucking lie? So, make sure to follow us on Instagram for some daily updated content, if and whenever it gets posted. And, yeah. So,
get it out of my house. Whatever.
Goodbye.